Hey, it's Dr. Alison JK here, Q&A with Dr. A, and this is how to look and feel younger naturally, no matter your age. So I'm going to give away some of my less well-known secrets during this. So the first aspect that I want to mention is life force itself. So from Chinese, the word qi, and from the Hindu yogic culture, the word prana, translates into English as vital life force energy. So simply, if you have more vital life force flushing throughout your system, you will have a fresher face, a fresher look, and it'll keep all of your system more vital, which includes your skin. We'll get to the skin in a little bit. But at this point, if you have more, how to have more vital life force energy flushing throughout your system is the nature of all the work that I do, right? So, for example, buy the Chakra Tumen audio series and run all of them on you, not all in one day, just one a day, especially if you're a beginner. And I could say to you, hey, you get the 6th and 7th chakra, that's all together in one product if you want to have your face look younger, but that's not really how it works in the subtle energy system. So the bottom line is having more life force flow within your system. And so I know that with my students, for example, when I'm training them in vibrational upgrade system, one of the things I tell them is with one of the hand positions they can do is put their palms over their eyes, and that feeds more light or vital life force energy into that area. So you could also get trained to run energy medicine through your hands, where you're in tune to be able to channel even more and have even more life force directed to you. Or you could try just your deactivated or unactivated palms, because everybody does have chakras flowing out of their hands. You could rest your palms on your eyes for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a night and see what happens. So the next point is, yes, if you get your entire chakra column unblocked, then you have more vital life force energy flowing throughout your system, and that is going to make you feel rejuvenated and refreshed, and it's also going to do a lot of other effects. So we'll get to that at the end too. I want to go into now some of the more longevity geared secrets that I learned living over in Asia and getting trained as a yoga teacher in India, as well as all the touring and traveling I did in Southeast Asia and with the traditional Chinese while I lived there for a decade. So the first one is skin brushing, dry skin brushing. If we keep our skin clear, more open, it is the largest organ in our body, and we do a lot of detoxifying from there. Dry skin brushing helps with that detoxing, and it'll help your skin to breathe more, and so it won't look so dry. Dry skin brushing for the face is not recommended, however, but again, your skin as a whole is an entire organ, the biggest organ in the body. So dry skin brushing, and that comes from the traditional Chinese, and you're gonna hear kids in the background playing, and I felt like that was appropriate. So the next one is hydration. This is frequently overlooked for having fresh, vital skin and alive, plump, juicy skin. And if you tend to run dehydrated or you tend to not get enough water during the day, then you could put 1 granule of coarse sea salt in an 8-ounce cup of water, because sea salt contains the entire mineral profile and it's a natural electrolyte. And so having those minerals in your body will help also keep you more rehydrated or hydrated. So also next one is you want to watch your nutrition. So if you're eating dirty, your skin's going to reflect that, especially in the face. If you're eating with a lot of preservatives or junk food, obviously, if you think life force, I started out this video about life force, and I am going to continue to talk about this. And I used to lead workshops when I first got back here from Asia for the first couple of years at health food stores, where I would show people how to make longevity tonics. And that tastes like mocha chai lattes. Some of you will recognize this if you've been to them. Or that tastes like, it was lattes and mocha chai lattes, and then chai itself. There were the 3 different flavor profiles, and all of those were composed of longevity herbs. And so think nutrition contains life force or it doesn't. So the closer to it being out of the ground, the fresher it is, the more life force it will have and give to your system, because your system is then processing in a good way, metabolizing what you've just taken in, right? So the fresher your food is, the more robustly healthy and alive your food is, the more alive you're going to be. Basic premise. So then there's longevity tonic herbalism, like I was just talking about, and I have specific training and certification in this. And one of the, so there's the Chinese tradition that I'm steeped in and the Ayurvedic tradition that I'm steeped in, as well as a fair amount in the Native American / Western. But where I go to for the longevity tonic herbalism, this is a different classification, because they're not the kinds of herbs where you have to parcel out or can only take so much or only take for a certain time for medicinal healing purposes, but they build, they accumulate. So ginseng is a well-known sample or example of this. Longevity tonic herbalism is a whole category in and of itself. So reishi mushrooms are one longevity tonic herb that helps with so many things. I actually, when I had my own radio show, I actually did an entire radio show with my Chinese herbalist out of LA on just reishi alone. But if we're talking about life force, reishi is known to go to the heart chakra. It's known to uplift the higher self, the spirit. And so that's also going to yield fresher boosting of what gives aliveness, vital life force energy, the spirit. So you look more spirited. Then I want to go to the Ayurvedic tradition, because there's an Ayurvedic tradition here, let me tell you a fun story though. One of the first herbs I learned about was Ho Shu Wu, and that's going back to Chinese for a second. And the story I learned with that was how Ho Shu Wu got discovered. Man with black hair is how it translates from Chinese to English. Is there was a 70-year-old something emperor, and he wanted to have sex with a 20-year-old girl. And so he sent his protege out to the mountains to find some herb that's going to help him look younger and be more attractive to this 20-something-year-old. And so the protege came back with, and I don't mean to call him protege, it was probably some herbal wizard, or his herbalist. And so he came back with Ho Shu Wu. And so the man's hair all grew back. And so men use Ho Shu Wu in part to have their hair grow back. But Ho Shu Wu is considered also a longevity tonic, directed towards a certain aspect of what's known as the three treasures. I don't want to get into that, it's too much. But it's kind of the same story within the Ayurvedic culture. Ayurveda is the natural medicine out of the yogic path, the 8 limbs of yoga. One of them is Ayurveda. And so I got turned on when I was there in India for my yoga teacher training to something called rasayanas. R-A-S, ras, A-Y, A-N-A-S, rasayanas. And I have been taking a version of that since discovering it from my Ayurvedic doctor who was teaching the Ayurvedic units to us during our yoga teacher training in India. I went and had a couple consults with him so I could learn even more. And I got turned on to Chavana Pravash, don't need to know that name, as one of the rasayanas. Rasayanas are considered longevity tonics. And they're kept in ghee, which is, without going into the Ayurvedic components of it, I used to teach this in yoga schools, this unit, as well as the unit on chakras, so I could go into a lot more here. They increase ohas, which is what leads to enlightenment. Rasayanas do, or pardon me, ghee does, and that's the base for these rasayanas. So they come in tubs, typically, and it's like you're eating a paste, not literally like you glue stuff together, but it's not a liquid or a capsule. So the company I've been using for rasayanas are 2. And I'm going to give you one, so just you can even learn about rasayanas, and that is Ayurvedic-herbs.com. And they're out of Oregon, and they have high integrity. I did a lot of research before using these guys, and I used to wholesale their rasayanas. So that's for internal. That was the end of nutrition. For external, Ayurveda is really good for skincare for the face too. And so I want to recommend another company called the Ayurveda, not IC, the Ayurveda Experience. And there's a beautiful skin glowing oil to use based on the traditional Ayurvedic herbs. in literally the traditions in India for skincare to glow. So coming out of the more physical things you can do to create more life force, let's go back into now where you don't have to buy anything and you have immediate capacity. So one of the ways that our eyes will scrunch and we'll have those worry lines, creases between our eyebrows, and we'll just look more serious and we'll look less youthful, is when we're problem focused. When we're busy problem solving, we're busy trying to prove how much we know, we're busy being in the know and focused intellectually. The opposite of that is childlike curiosity, right? So like just with this wonder and awe, like a sunflower, like a child, curious. So instead of knowing, living life more in the questions. So when you find yourself going into that squinting or that focusing or that problem solving, let's do this. Redirect. Stop that. Because having that childlike wonder and, oh, look at my eyes. The eyes are wide and open, and there's curiosity and childlike, almost looking up, like you just saw me naturally do, right? So be like a sunflower. Look for the light. Turn towards the light. And have more flowing within you. And you will emanate it out. And the mind blocks that. I'll have you know. So stop that. Blessings. Namaste.